Alright, well, it's after 1. I'm finally getting motivated to step outside and get some things done. Today, I'm going to go ahead and drill this fender out and then start working on the rock slider here on the side and get it bolted up there. Once I get the fender done, I'll get the rear fender unbolted so I can get that shit all handled. I'm just dragging ass. I'm just super fatigued and tired these days. Just not feeling up to too much. And oops, shit. That's me tripping over my own damn feet. I fell over here yesterday. Luckily, I have all this wonderful stuff to catch myself, which I did. Holy crap. I didn't realize that was all bent up. That sucks. We're waiting for the wheelchair people that were supposed to be here last Thursday. We found out when they didn't show up when we called in on Friday. They said that we were unavailable and that we didn't answer our phone. You know, cell phones these days, they have logs. Neither my wife or I were called, and we were here all day because we weren't at a doctor's appointment or at the hospital. So it's not like we go a lot of places with my wife's health the way it is. So, liar. You fucking people. All right, let's stop worrying about that and get back onto this. So, I got to drill out the fender and get all the holes drilled. And then got to drill out that fancy plate right there. And you see those holes down there. It might be hard to see, but all right, let me get my drill bits out, figure out what size I need, and let's get going. All right, so I have all of these drilled out and the bolts in place, but this front one here, it looks like we need to do a little modification. So let's look under here real quick and see what we got happening. So what's happening is, it might be hard to see, but this piece of metal bracket needs to be shaved back so the nut passes by it cleanly so I can tighten it up. So I'm gonna get my little gray cutting wheel back out, go on there and just kind of trim that back. The rest of them are all done and tightened, so that's all good. I just need to drill those out, but since I'm working on this right here, we'll get this knocked out real quick before we hop into those. All right, so I've got the 5 all in at the top of the fender. I got that little spot ground out. What I ended up having to use was a burr bit. My cutoff wheel wasn't big enough, so I just took a burr bit and went in there and ground it back a bit, and it worked just fine. I got these 3 here in and tight, so the fender, it lines up pretty good here at the top, but then it kind of dives in here at the bottom. I guess that's okay. Not much I can do about it, so we'll just go with that. I still need to tighten these up. It's weird, in my instructions it says there are 4 holes, but that's not true, because where this upper hole is, there's a bar. So I don't even think the instructions that came with these bars are actually the ones that came for these bars. Very strange. Got them off of eBay. When this is all done, I'm going to make a little separate video about the bars and the body stuff and the bumpers. As far as the bumpers go, they're not the best, and I'll get into that later, but they look nice, and that's where we need to stop talking about them. So, all right, so the next thing I'm going to do is pull off that rear fender. Well, not pull it off, but unbolt most of the bolts, and then I can get the rock guard in there, but I'm going to have to loosen up those 3 bolts here underneath the body. So we're going to do that real quick, and then still waiting for the wheelchair people. It's been over an hour. All right, back in a minute. I'm going to say the hardware that came with this stuff is just cheap ass. So far, I've gotten, 2 out completely. This one's out, but it's kind of stuck in there. This one is stripped. The other 3, as I was backing them out, the lock nuts froze about halfway up the bolt and then broke off. So I'm gonna have to grind that one off because the head is not, it's stripped and it's not holding. This one down here is loose, this one's done. So once I get that done, then this fender will be low enough for me to go get these rock guard so I can get in there. Ah, fuck. Okay, so all but one's out. That one just holds it in place. Now I can put the damn side guard in there. So we are going to loosen up those 3 bolts underneath real quick, throw the jack under and go get the side guard, and then I can clamp it in place and we'll be good. All right, so just like on the other side, 16 mil, a breaker bar and a ratchet. I'm doing the 3, so the one in the middle, the one at the front, and the one right in front of the back wheel. Those are the 3 that you need to loosen up. I loosen them up quite a bit. That way when I stick the jack under here, it'll move. The other side was like a 12 or 16 gauge. It's as thick as this here, so a 1/4 inch would be my best guess. So yeah, once you get that lowered, you can put the jack in there, and then you want to just jack the body up just enough so that it slips in. And so we're going to go over there and grab the jack real quick and bring it over here and get that done, and then I'll bring out the rock slider. Alright, so this is a setup I have. My rock sliders sort of come to almost a point big enough to go around this, but there's a bit of metal on either side, so you need to leave yourself some room so you don't have to move your jack later on. So there's the jack. These are metal 2x4 pieces, so they work really good for jacking up, and I just have a wood block there at the top to make up the difference. And it doesn't have to go a whole lot, except that fell on the ground. You can see I'll probably speed this up because this is a slow jack. You can see it's starting to get our little gap right there. And the bolt has kind of gotten tight. So a little bit more, I think. Yep, I think that's good. Yep, the bolt's still a little loose, so I can go a little higher if I need to. But I believe that's pretty good. Got to be careful because you might bend your tub up a little bit. That's all right. Okay. Front one is tight. I could loosen it up a little bit to make it go. All right, let me go get the rock slider. If you have 2 people, it's a little easier, but 1 person, it works just fine. I got both my hands free right now. All I did was slide that in, and it's just more or less resting up there. So now I can put the 2 C-clamps I had up on the other side, get that in there nice and tight. Then we can drill the 2 outer holes, or any of the holes. Usually just a couple, that way we can cinch it down, and then we can tighten all these body bolts back up, and that will keep everything nice and tight. So let's get the clamps on, that way I don't have to worry about it falling on my toe, and we'll be golden. Alright, so 2 C-clamps holding it nice and tight against the body. The bolt is still loose down here, so if we need to make any adjustments, it is pretty much as high as it wants to go. I am going to go ahead and just snug this one down for a second, that way it holds it, and then I'll go ahead and start loosening the jack. Alright, so I have all of them in except for the one up here in the front that connects to the fender. I'm going to loosen the fender up and see if I can tighten that up and pull this gap in. It's just a little off, so I'm going to see if I can pull it over with that bolt. But other than that, that's good. I can take the clamps off now. do with 2 hands. Maybe. Yeah, I get the bigger one off. If you're not going to paint your bars, you might want to put a pad or something in there just to keep it from getting marred up while you're doing this. Or if you're using 2 people, you can just hold it while you do it. Alright. Okay, so, yep, I'm going to loosen up the fender. I haven't drilled that hole out yet because I want to see if I can pull the fender over a little bit before I drill the hole. And then go from there. I have 2 of these left, and I just remembered, because I'm looking at it, that one there on the passenger side, I need to dent the body just a little bit to put the nut on, because there's no room. Oops, where are we looking? Right there. So that upper one doesn't have a nut on it. So that would be this one right here. Oops, too zoomed in. That would be this one. So this one has a nut behind it, but that one, it was just in the wrong spot, so we'll have to fix that real quick. I had my big hammer out here, but I think I put it away. I'll have to go get it. So yeah, those would be the last 2 pieces of hardware that we need to bolt on. I still need to fix the bumper, but that's another project for another time, and then we'll get to the front bumper. Alright, so let's get on this. Okay, so I loosened up the 3 bolts on the firewall to the fender and put that in, and it basically bent the end and it didn't move the fender at all. So the fender was made twisted a little bit, I guess, but that's in as tight as it's going to go. It's not going to flatten out because of the angle. So the last thing I have to do here is put these bolts back into the fender, and then we are done with this side, and we'll be done for the day. It looks like it might rain tomorrow, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my tools here in a few minutes as soon as I get this fender done. So let's get on that. Oops. Alright, so I've had to replace 1, 2, 3, 4 because they either stuck and broke, or I had to cut it off because that was the one I had to cut off. So we've got the driver's side completed now. Everything's back together. I just need to get the stickers off, and then I can paint the whole side or whatever. I'm gonna paint the armor when I have a chance. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. It's almost 4 o'clock. I've called the wheelchair repair place, and they have not called me back. So I'm starting to wonder if they're either going to bother to show up again today. My wife's wheelchair needs batteries. It has needed batteries since November. It doesn't even go a few hours on the charge. Even just sitting at home, it starts to die. We have to put it back on the charger. So we're going to clean up, and whether or not we get to do any work tomorrow will depend, because that is a really dark cloud compared to all the nice white ones. So yeah, it looks like we're in for a little bit of a rain. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hopefully this has helped, and if you do this, you might want to just double check all your parts and make sure which part goes on first, because there's no instructions telling you that you should start with the fenders and work your way fender, rear fender, or fender, side, rear fenders, corners, bumper. Because if you do it like I did, you'll be ending up taking it back off. Fuck you, train. All right, thanks for watching.